Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of the Real Estate Dream Team series. My name is Yi, and I'm excited for this next episode. Continuing on from episode 1, where I was going to talk about my experience with private investors. After 4 properties, a single family and 3 investment properties, a college buddy noticed what I was doing. He had been following me and called me up, said, "Hey, looks like you're much more happier, you're less stressed than during your corporate days. You seem to have a good quality of life and freedom of time. I am very interested in what you're doing." We talked and he ended up investing $330,000 with me in real estates. I'll talk about our first deal, which is a single family home that we purchased in Bentonville. If you like what you see so far, click the subscribe button, like, comment, and share with friends and family so that I can continue to make contents for all of you. He wanted to be on the safe side, so I had to think up of a strategy that would make sense for the both of us and also be very low risk. And Bentonville is an up and coming, very known area for a lot of investors, and we were able to get in a property at $325,000. And so we bought that, we cashed that out, used his funds and my funds. We cashed it out. We renovated about $75,000 into the property, and I believe the ARV on that property is about $475,000 to $500,000 right now. So we are a net plus of about $75,000 to $100,000. Given that, if I were to go back and knowing what I know now, we could have done it differently. But again, I was at the beginning of my real estate investment journey, and that was what I knew, and I picked the safest route. Yes, we could have done a lot of things differently. Yes, I could have reached out to a couple other real estate investors as well, but that didn't happen. And in the end, we still are up $75,000 to $100,000 in equity in that property. Now, having spent that money on the property already, the next hurdle for me was really more or less, how do I get more capital? Because banks aren't lending to me anymore. I either have to find more seller financing deals or creative deals, or have more private investors invest with me on these good deals that I've been able to find. So that was another snag that I hit. And I had to think about, okay, what do I do next? At that time, there was a real estate conference called the Hmong Millionaires Conference that was coming up, and I decided to attend that conference. I met a lot of real estate investors, some very experienced ones, and developers as well. I was talking to them about my dilemma, where I have these assets, I have a good net worth, but I can't seem to get access to capital. And they gave me a very good idea on how I can go out there and get access to capital, present myself in a way that would really help me increase my chances of getting capital from banks. The idea was that I would take all my properties, combine them together, propose it to the bank to give me a business line of credit using those properties as collateral, because I had over $1 million of net worth in those properties. And I was trying to acquire that, so I was so excited. I was barely sleeping, I was on edge, and I was on adrenaline. The worst thing that could happen happened after the conference. We happened to caught COVID at one of the theme parks. So on the day that we were riding the plane home, we started to feel sick. I started to feel body aches, I started to feel body pains, and no cough yet, and so did my wife and kids, and we knew something was going on. So we came home, and I was down for about 3-4 weeks. The first 2 weeks was pretty bad. I couldn't do much because it was just body pain. I was just recovering. And then the last 2 weeks I had cough and whatever and whatnot. I didn't want to spread that. And so I had to wait for a whole month before I could get going. And when I did get going, it was not easy. It took me about 3 months to schedule and talk to, I believe, about 30 banks, local credit unions, local banks, and then some bigger banks. I had to go through all of them, and I got rejected the first couple times. As each time I got rejected, I got better at telling my story. I got better at telling what I wanted to do and my goals, and it got more convincing each time. So after meeting with 30 banks, I finally got 2 banks that were willing to work with me. One of the bank, they were willing to use one of our properties as collateral for a business line of credit. So we ended up getting about $300,000 of business line of credit for us. And then not only that, another bank was willing to provide me bridge loans, or you can call it renovation loans, to acquire properties and renovate them and then sell them. So they were willing to partner up with me on that. And so after 3 months of talking to banks after banks after banks after banks, I finally got my partnerships with 2 banks. And partnering up with those 2 banks, it had allowed me to acquire 3 more additional properties, which added an additional $600,000 to my net worth. And so that's why banks are a crucial part of your team, where you need to build that relationship. And even if it starts with a small amount of business lines of credit, or maybe just they require a little bit more down payment, it's totally worth it to work with them and build that relationship, because you're just only going to grow from there. The next important team member that you need are those that bring you deals. And they can be real estate agents, they can be friends and family, they can be wholesalers, whatever the case may be. My experience have been with real estate agents and then also finding deals on my own. One of the real estate agents found me the fourplex. Another found me one of these most recent deals in Northwest Arkansas, where we bought it for $127,000. The ARV, once it's done, going to be about $300,000. We have to spend about $60K for renovations. So that puts us at roughly about $190,000. And then our ARV is at 300, so that adds another about another $100,000 to our net worth. So that was one of the deals. Another, a couple of the deals I found myself was more through real estate expired listings, where I just called them up. Once the listing expired, I called them up or stopped by to talk to them and just propose my pitch on wanting to buy their property through creative financing or creative deals, where I was able to utilize my relationships at the bank to acquire the property, and not only that, be able to get some portions of it seller financed by the owner. I haven't had much success with wholesalers, virtual assistants, or with friends and families, especially wholesalers. There are a few good ones. Many of them are bad or horrible. And the horrible ones are the ones that I've met. They sent me deals that are pointless. I mean, they basically just take whatever is on the MLS, throw it your way, and hope that you're dumb enough to think that it's a good deal. So shame on you for those wholesalers who do that, who give wholesalers a bad name, and who don't do their homework and don't do what they're supposed to do, their due diligence and their research before they send over a deal. Now the good ones, I've met very few, but they are already committed to other investors who have way more money than I do, and who's able to gobble up deals just like that within a matter of days. And so I haven't had much success with that. Virtual assistants, they haven't been as successful either. I think that's a long-term play. And then friends and family, I think that's a long-term play as well. So that's kind of been my success and how I've been able to find my own deals. And then a few realtors have been able to help me find deals as well. But I think in the long run, as you continue to stay in the industry and more folks continue to know what you do, you'll just continue to get more deals passed down to you. The next important team member that you need are contractors. You need to make sure that you find good, reliable contractors who don't charge you an arm and a leg for your projects. You need to vet them out well so that they don't waste your time and they don't cost you extra money to do your project. My experience with subcontractors have been so-so. It hasn't been the best. For my first renovation project, I had to find each single contractor for everything that I needed completed in the house, such as drywall, ceiling, textures, to flooring, to kitchen, so that took a lot of time. My first renovation took about 6 months, and I'm just glad that was a property that we paid for so that we didn't have any additional cost like interest payments and that holding costs on a monthly basis, other than just maybe some electrical costs and insurance. I got a little bit smarter on my next flip or my next renovation. I made sure that I hire a contractor that had connection to multiple subs who works with them on projects, and they can come in and fill in on a lot of the various skill sets that I need. The problem was that I was so excited I found this guy, I didn't vet him well. I gave him too much leeway and he wasted too much of my time. I'm just glad I didn't overpay him, but I did lose about 2 months of work on that project. And so I had to go and find a new contractor who had connections to different subs and different skill sets. And so I got that fixed, and that's working now. I think my next step for subcontractors would be have a better contract written out where it involves timeline, it involves deducting money from any overage on the timeline that they initially estimated. I would probably find a way to better purchase materials and the flow and the efficiency of things to make it smoother so my renovations can go faster and cost me less money. So that's been my experience with contractors. I want to make sure that all of you are aware of that so that when you do go into a renovation or a flip, you can prepare yourself and you can look into the things that you need to really get yourself ready for to properly manage contractors. Another team member that I think is crucial or critical to me was designers or architects. After a couple of renovations and flips where I decided how the layout was going to be, the finishes, how everything was going to come together, I realized that it's much more harder to do that because I'm doing that in my head and I don't have an actual schematic drawing or some form of architectural drawing to help me visualize and keep that on paper so I can be on the same page with contractors where there's not this, oh, he said, she said, I forgot, you forgot. A designer or an architect can help you with that. They can put all that on paper and you can go through it with your contractor and call it all out. Everything will be called out and they go off based on that. And if there are any changes, then a change request needs to be submitted, or if it's not what is on the blueprint or the schematic drawings or the layout plan, then you don't pay for it, or they have to fix it to meet that. And so that's why I've learned that a designer or an architect is going to be super helpful in your renovations or your flips, because otherwise you will forget once you start to get into 3, 4, 5 projects at a time. Maybe 1 or 2 you'll be okay, but as you start to get more projects, you really need to get things down on paper. So that is another crucial team member that you need on your team. After 3 years in real estate investing, I realized there's a couple more team members that are missing from my team. And that would be a real estate attorney, a title company, and also a real estate accountant, where all my deals before I've been doing, I didn't have any of that. I was just navigating it through the process by myself, researching, reading, and figuring things out. But as I'm starting to do more deals and close more deals, I realize an accountant is going to be very important. A title company is going to be very important, and so is a real estate attorney to oversee my contracts. So I'm realizing that, and those are the 3 team members and experiences that I'm going to talk about next, on how I connected with them and how I was able to build that relationship with these additional 3 team members that I needed on the next episode. So if you want to learn more, click on the link above on the next episode, where we'll talk about these other crucial team members. Again, I'll see you on the next episode.